Welcome back, everyone, to the Small Business Revolution podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Kyle, with my co-host, my dad and business partner, Josh. How you doing today, Dad?
I'm doing great. Hey, everybody. Hope everyone's having an amazing day. Super excited about the podcast today. We're going to get in some really interesting stuff. And I'm going to let Kyle fire away with some more information. But
Yeah, so today, if you've ever seen the show Mythbusters, we're kind of doing that, our own version of that, but with small business myths, business myths, small business
okay,
myths, anything around that kind of topic. So, obviously, we're not science people, so we don't have displays and we're not taking you on an adventure, but we'll definitely do it with our words. I'm sure you know from other podcasts. But yeah, we'll be busting some myths today. Are you ready to dive right in and get started?
sure. Let's go.
All right. So the first one that we have is if you build it, they will come. So basically, if you've ever seen Field of Dreams, that's what that references to. But
Yeah.
building your store and building your idea isn't the only thing that you need to do. Obviously, there's marketing that needs to be involved. There's a lot of extra steps besides just being like, all right, I built my store, I'm good now. So if you want to start touching on that, feel free to go for it.
I think you did a good job. A lot of people, well, here, let me take a breath. Okay, so today, right? A lot of what you hear, it's starting to crack open a little bit, but for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, online, all like different businesses and influencers and all these, they're like overnight successes, making bazillions of dollars, blah, 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 right? They're like, I opened a business and now I'm rich. Woohoo, be like me. And it's like, yeah, no, that would be amazing. But they don't talk about all the years of struggle. They don't talk about, like, occasionally, yeah, someone like they get a thing, they hit it just right, and they get lucky as shit. Awesome, good for
Mm-hmm.
you. But like 99.999% of every business that started, that is not the case, right? So a lot of people are like, cool. Oh yeah, it's got to build a business. It's got to build a business because that's what, you know what I mean. It's like stuck in their head because that's what they do. It's the same thing with like what I call like the McDonald's mentality, right? Where it's like your way, right away. People want it. They want it now. They don't want to wait. They want it, want it, want it, want it, right?
Yeah, no,
But the yeah, I mean, the reality is everybody. I'm sure everyone listening to this most people listening to this podcast know that that is very, 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 very untrue.
yeah.
Right?
I mean, the big piece with that is like you have to market your business in order for it to go anywhere. Like without marketing,
100%.
it's just gonna be kind of sitting there doing nothing. Like we have many podcasts talking about marketing, and there'll be many more in the future because it is a very important piece of your business, and especially as more businesses move online, it becomes even more important because it's not like Jimmy and Sally are just walking down the street and they're like, oh hey, this store looks cute, let's go in there and check it out. There's like
Yeah.
that's not really a thing online. It's when you're scrolling and people see your post or they see your ad and they're like, "Oh man, this place has a lot of stuff I really like," or "This is something that I was looking for," and then that's
Yeah.
when they go in. It's not like they're just walking down the street, see your little storefront out front, and they're like, "Awesome." But even then, like if you have a small business and it's a storefront, like a physical one, brick and mortar, you still going out and marketing is still imperative, or else you have to rely on people just walking down the street and being like, "Oh, this place looks interesting. Let's check this out." And those number of people compared to the people that are online are tiny, teeny tiny.
How about this? How about this? If you with business with a physical location, right? A lot it's I don't know if you ever heard this, or I know I've never said this, but to you.
Mhm.
But um it's like location, 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 right? So uh you have like A plus locations, like a consider like A plus A, B, and C, right?
Mhm.
So like if somebody opened a little store like 3 blocks away from any main road, and it's in a little tiny neighborhood, like they're gonna struggle to get customers. They only have exposure to people that are driving by and walking by that live like within a couple blocks,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to going to an A plus location like on your city's main street. Like for us, it would be like transit, right? Not transit by our house, but like way up
Hmm.
where all the big businesses are, like Walmart and all those car dealerships and da da da, right? Like there's a reason that they're all there. um, so, but those locations cost a lot more money, right?
Yeah.
So if you, it depends on your business model, and how much, right? Like how much money you had to play with if a physical location is in your thing. Um, but if you're on like a major thoroughfare, rent's gonna cost you 5 to 10 times as much as the location I just talked to you about, right?
Mhm.
So per square foot. So it's it's um location is kind of marketing as well. That,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you say I could open a business reasonably in this place and cost X amount of dollars annually for my lease or whatever, say, or I could do it here, right? I won't have any money for advertising, but like 5 million cars a day drive by the location,
Yeah.
right? Like you could you that if like if I, personally if I had the choice, I'm like I don't have money to advertise, and I want to open a spot. Where do I want to open it? And I had enough money to open one with a little tiny spot and spend tons of money in advertising, or open another spot like like at in a little thing right on transit in the little, little strip things right in front,
Hmm.
right on the main strip, and then there's big stores behind them. I would take that,
Yeah. No,
right?
100%.
Because you're gonna get so much traffic just from people driving by.
Yeah. No,
I
yeah.
actually opened a store. I opened a store for one of the companies back in the day in that location that I'm just talking about, and that's why I'm doing that, right? Like that,
Mhm.
we opened it. It was still under construction, and people were trying to come in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was
Hmm.
on the inside; they were finishing up, and people were trying to come in. Like 4, 5, 6, 7, like an hour. People were trying to come in, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy. I actually had to pay someone to stand outside and be like, "Yeah, we're not open yet," even though it doesn't, there's no open signs.
Yeah.
It's nuts. So, but at the same time, that also doesn't mean that that store is going to be a wild success, right? They're just going to have a lot of traffic. Then it comes in a lot of other things come into play. But location, and paying for all that is really important. I think another big myth is that people think you have to have a location
Hmm.
to be successful. And, a lot of times I feel that's not the case. Obviously, there's certain industries and businesses that is required,
Yeah.
right? On some sort, even every business has a location of some sort, even us, right?
Hmm.
Like we don't like it, no matter how you spin it, like we don't have like an office space, but I'm in an office,
Yeah.
right? Just that alone.
Hmm.
So everyone has all that, but at the end of the day, um, having a big fancy location, if you're a restaurant, or if you're, like excuse me, some type of store, some type of a bit, there's tons of business. I'm not going to list them all that, you know, that is beneficial for them to have.
Yeah.
Or they need a place for people to come in, actually look at things.
Hmm.
Um, as opposed to like, oh, I can see it online, I'm good, right? Like cabinetry places, like there's tons and tons and tons. But um
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And another,
sorry.
I think that myth is slowly dying out now. I think as more people get successful online and their businesses get real, as businesses get even more successful online, I think that myth is slowly starting to die out, especially with the younger generation that are coming up and starting businesses online. But there's still a lot of people that have that belief, and it's been instilled in them by their mentors and the older generation, where it's like, yeah, I know that online is big right now, but you need to still have a storefront. But
Well, and I don't mean to interrupt you right there, but the reason that is because of the older generation is still in charge most of the time.
yeah, exactly.
They're still in the seat of power.
Hmm.
As that's shifting, like all these things are starting to shift,
Yeah.
right? We're starting to see all these big changes come in,
Hmm.
because those people are starting, those that age range is really starting to retire, and kind of everything's going down to the next generation, whether it's family or just people running the company. Um, it starts to drop down, and in the young generation, like you said, it's everything is wildly different,
Yeah.
right? Online business is massive. If you have a brick and mortar and you're not doing business online, with some, obviously with some exceptions, like, right, but if
Hmm.
you're doing that and you don't have an online part of your business, right? We talked about the last podcast, I think. Then you're missing the boat, right?
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
tons of people. I know, put it like this. I know tons of people that refuse to go to Starbucks, right? But now because they have the app and they can order their drink on the fly and just walk in and get it, or go hit the drive-through and it's done and they just bounce,
mhm.
right? They go to Starbucks now. I'm like, oh, I thought they're like, well, no, it's great, man. You just order on the app, dink, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. Plus, even if you feel like your business, there's no way for your business to go online, there is definitely 100% ways to have your business online. Imagine like you have a carpentry business or something where it's hands on. You're like, oh, what can I sell
Right,
online? You can't sell anything online, but you can have appointments get set online. That way you don't have to take calls all day, or you have to pay someone to take calls all day. They go on your website, set up an appointment through a calendar system or something like that, or even just through an email, and
right,
they set it up that way. But that's still marketing. Your business, your storefront business is just online now, and a lot of people are starting to shift to that way as well, where now you don't have to call
right.
in to set an appointment. So even if you
Yeah,
think there's no way for your business to go online, I promise you there is a way.
right. Let's expand on that real quick. So then you go online, you're like, cool, people can set appointments with me. Here's my card. Then you put it your
Hmm.
nephew hooks you up with a QR code, right? Or the place you have do your business cards, they do, and people can just scan it, and that's even better. You're like, cool, this is awesome, right? But what you do is you're not selling anything online, but you're selling a lot online, even in
Hmm.
a carpentry business, because you're selling yourself,
Yeah.
right? Then you open it up and you talk about these are some jobs that we've had. You start a blog, you do a this, you do a video thing, you do whatever, or you do just start posting tips for people and how to DIY their stuff, right? All this stuff gets people coming to you and gets attention to you. And when they need a handyman, who are they going to call? When they need a handyman to do the job that you showed them how to do that they are just not comfortable doing, who are they going to call?
Exactly. Not the Ghostbusters, but yeah.
You know, you ruined it, Kyle. You ruined it. No, um, but really though, who are they going to call? They're going to call
Yeah,
you, right? Because you've helped them save money. And
exactly.
even if you haven't helped them in the past, you gave them the information how to do a thing that's wrong with their in their life right now, right? And you're like, you can do it yourself. This is how you do it. And John or Kim or whoever says, that's awesome. Well, that would save me a lot of money, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I don't know anyone that does, and I don't have tools and I don't have this and I don't have that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. But who are you? I'm gonna call I'm more like I'm gonna immediately pick when I call someone. I'm like, what's that guy? And look him up and call
Mhm.
him because he's the one putting the stuff out there for free.
Yeah.
I know he's not gonna beat me over the back of the head with right. Like he has built-in trust with me,
Hmm.
right? So, anyways,
Yeah, no, 100%. And
I'm
yeah, so
sorry.
if you don't think you can do something online, there's always a way. Just you just gotta do it and find the way. There's always a way to do something online that will help your business.
Yeah,
We
it works
talked.
both ways, by the way, as well.
Hmm.
If you have an online business, you could do business. You could do in face to face business. You
Yeah,
could do little
100%.
pop up. You could do pop up shops. You could do like all the little festivals. You
Hmm.
could do like that. You could go to like festivals and stuff. And if you want, if you, I know people that I actually know someone that is into like certain types of festivals. Not to get too like into all that, but it's like a very specific kind of festival, right? Like they
Hmm.
have medieval and like it's like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Anyways, and he has a business. So when he goes to the festivals, he brings this chunk of his business with him, right? To all the festivals he goes to, and he sells and talks to people and meets people, right? He told me he loves to do it. He makes money. Yeah, it's business for him. He makes money. But over the years, it's grown his business, and he has this big base of people
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
he's met personally face to face at these festivals selling them stuff. And they just go online and just buy from him online,
Hmm.
right? All over the country.
Yeah.
But he grew it by doing this like pop-up shop mentality, right? He would never call it that.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
you watch this, you know who I'm talking about. Anyways, um,
But yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but success doesn't come overnight is another big myth. Or the myth is that success does come overnight because it happens so frequently
yeah,
now, and people blow up so frequently, and um, that in turn makes their businesses blow up so frequently. But that's just not a realistic thing to expect. I mean, it very well could happen. You could blow up overnight like that. But normally there's a exponential growth. It starts with nothing, and then you start going up, and then boom, then you start to take off. But that's not going to happen
Yeah.
in one day. That's it's a lot of work goes into that. Every big influencer you see, every big business you see, they all started from nothing. That they didn't have anything, and then they slowly started to climb, and then the explode happened. So when you build your business, you're like, all right, I'm waiting for the explosion any day now. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
realistic. It takes a lot of work to get that explosion. It's very rare that you just explode and have nothing to do with it. That is extremely rare. People who work really hard and the explosion happens, normally people don't ever talk about how hard they worked before that, like you mentioned earlier. That never really ever gets talked about. Like especially even big, if you think of any big influencer, they were working really really hard to get where they were, and then they exploded. But no one talks about that back end stuff, and you see that with
And
businesses all the time as well.
you want to know also people never talk about is after you explode,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to maintain it,
Exactly.
right? You have to capitalize on it to be able to maintain that that instant that you just got that because if you don't and most people don't. How many
Mm.
one hit wonder overnight success 100 million view videos came out and then all of a sudden you never saw anything by that person again,
Yeah.
right? Like because it was an accident, an actual accident. And they have no idea. They're not busy. They're like, I just made a video, bro. What's going on, right?
Exactly.
Like, but but then you look at people like and people don't yeah so that's another thing right that people they capitalized on it in the right way when it happened because you have to be ready and there's people that try to get to that point and when it hits they still fail
Mm-hmm.
right part of life it's part of business part of life.
So I think another thing that we really need to dive in on, and a big myth, and I think it might single-handedly be the biggest myth, if not of all time, that just happened to be a saying
I
that we've
can't wait to
touched
hear
on.
this. Hold on, I want to build some excitement, everyone. No, for real, I cannot because this is my son,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
I
I
think
am super excited to hear this. Okay, let's go.
it's the
Drum roll.
biggest myth of all, probably of all time. And I believe it was last podcast we talked about a little bit, and I looked up who made it because I think it somehow got brought up in the conversation.
Oh
Um,
man, okay.
yeah, it's that the customer is always right, and that is forever going to be the biggest myth of I personally believe is the biggest myth of all time. It is so untrue. Um, to the point now where like you walk up and you start working at a business and something happens with a customer and they even tell you now that the customer isn't always right. That's just that it's not a thing that gets said anymore, except for by customers who act like Karens and all those kind of people. Those are the only people that still say it. But it's still a big myth that needs to be debunked.
My apologies to anybody named Karen.
Hey man, it's just a global
No,
term.
not for you. Just from me and my generations to the
Oh,
world.
gotcha.
Anyone named Karen, I'm sorry. That happened to you. Um. Oh.
But
Um. No. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah,
I agree. Adamantly, I agree with that. Um. There's a lot of nonsense that was that it started dude okay it started as a sales pitch and it was
hmm
genius right now I know like it started as a sale basically
yeah,
listen come buy from us the customer is always right we'll treat you like a king we'll do this we'll do that right dude that's what it was
no,
ended up and some angry person turned it into this thing that like kind of took over the world and or I'm sorry, took over the United States. I apologize. I apologize.
yeah,
The rest of the world is not like this.
yeah. I mean,
But
yeah, it really
no,
just.
no, really, really though, it comes down to like it comes down to this is go. You know why this is going away though? It's going away because of the younger generations.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's very demeaning and when the customers come in and a customer comes into your place of business and they're like da 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 da, and I'm right.
Yeah.
You're like, no, bro, sorry about that. You're not right.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Excuse me,
and
everybody. Okay. Yeah, you're like, no, you're not right.
yeah.
And how do you say that, right?
Hmm.
I would just tell people, they're like, no, customers, they would say that to me. Legit. I mean, I'm old, right? Like they'd be like, the customer's always right. I'm like, sorry to tell you this, but you're not. You
Yeah.
know, and they're like, what? I'm like, no, you're right. The customer's always right. 100% the customer's always right unless they're wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
And yeah.
Like, just because I can't how about this? You own a business, you sell things, and people can return them 14 days, right? Even 30 days. They walk in 5 months, no tags, have a receipt, even, but the thing has clearly been being worn for like 17 times or 20 times and washed, right? And they're like, I want to return this. No, you can't return that. No, it doesn't fit, blah, blah, blah. And then they just start, they amplifying their volume and their just starts going up and up and up and up and up until the store finally gives in and gives them what they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That mentality is starting to shift because big companies went out of business because of that mentality.
Hmm.
I could run down some lists. Stores that I big box stores when I was a kid that had that mentality are like off. They're everywhere in the country are completely gone because of that.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's one
They
thing.
lose. They were losing millions of dollars a year because of that. That's why
Yeah.
they literally. That's why they closed.
Yeah. It's one thing to listen to your customers and receive feedback and be like, all right, if the majority of my customer base thinks that I should change something about my business, all right, that's something that I want to look into, because at that point, that's the majority of people. But
Yeah.
if one person comes in, says I don't like XYZ, why listen to that one person when you have data in front of you
Yeah.
that proves that person otherwise? You don't have to listen to that one person. If they don't like the way you do things, it's one person compared
Yeah.
to the rest of your clientele base or your customer base. It's just one person.
Here's the shift. Here's the shift. Instead of customers going in going, this, like, instead of someone walking into a business or calling a business saying, no, do this. This is how blah 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 blah. This is how it should be done. This is how I want you to do it. Da 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 da. Right? Instead of that, because of the internet and the way and businesses can put themselves online and then people can find them online,
Mm-hmm.
right? As you go generationally, as you go down, uh you're finding, I'm personally, my personal experience, and I personally found that to be less and less of an issue
Mm-hmm.
as you go down generationally,
Yeah.
right? For whatever reason, I could sit here and play around with ideas, but I might insult people. So, but no, but it's right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think you're right, and I think it's weird too, because like as the generation, like, we get younger and younger and younger, it's just like there's more understanding in general, I think, as we keep getting younger and younger, for other people, for for everything. And I think it's just the way that these generations are
I
being raised, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
there's more care for people that, like, because before people would
I
take it, like, let's say they someone working at a low end job, right? They're working there, but now there's more care for those people from people like us, our age group of people, but
yeah.
between us, even, you know. And that's what I was trying to
Yeah,
say.
instead of me, you, me, it's like, okay, everyone's
Yeah,
figured out
let's
a good
take care of
solution, right?
everyone, kind of thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not just all
and
about me.
right,
And
yeah,
I
hundred
think,
percent.
yeah, I think that's just a big shift that has really just happened in society, and that uh, it's not always about you anymore. It's like, how do we take care of everyone? How is everyone going to feel comfortable? How is everyone going to feel safe? How is everyone going to live? You know
Right.
what I mean?
And for me, my generation, right, my mentality, anyways, and my friends is, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna try to get John or Kim or Karen or anyone to do what I want them to do. I'm like, that's just how they do business. Cool. I just go online and find a local business that does things the way I like them done, and then I just go there. It's way less headache. I don't want
Yep.
to, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like the younger the generation is, the more they understand that,
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't want to, like, they're like, I want to buy this certain thing or go have this certain service done, So they
Mm-hmm.
go as deep as they can, and then they're like, "Cool." Then they just call them like, "Yeah, come hook me up, or come do this, or I need this, or I need that," and they're like, they got it. It's at their fingertips,
Yeah.
right? The things, not it's all the knowledge and information and everything they need. That's at their fingertips. That's at your fingertips,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I mean, everyone that's watching this,
Yeah.
so it's but I feel like that's why it's like um as the expansion, as everything evolves every day, right? Monthly,
Literally.
yearly, annually, whatever, but daily. Um, it's I feel like things are evolving and there's a much greater understanding. And just like anything technological, generationally there's gaps,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of like you and I, great example. I understand everything, right, that we do in our business. I'm like, cool, Kyle, we got to figure this out. We're like, cool, and we figure it all out together, right?
Mm-hmm.
To everything technology, everything marketing, everything this, everything that, new stuff, old stuff, all mix it together. But certain things I don't do,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, bro, I understand how it works. I know the steps,
Mm-hmm.
and even if it's all my idea, my thing, the back end follow through, I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I'm like, I just, and it's not like laziness,
No. Yeah.
right? It's I clicked the wrong fucking button, and then I go somewhere and I'm like, what the fuck? Right? Like you say all the
Mm-hmm.
time, you're like, what do you say about what do you call me all the time at home? Right? Like you're like,
Figure it
I'm
out.
super tech savvy, but like I can't
Oh yeah,
run
like you're one of
Instagram or some
those, yeah,
shit.
like
Like
the
I
most
don't
tech savvy people I know, but like you can't understand like the base, like you, like if it's super in depth technology based something, you can figure it out. But like super basic, like logging into a streaming service is the hardest fucking task for you. But the like the deep in depth technology stuff, you got that on lock. You can do that
right,
100%.
like I'm doing like writing code, doing full stack type
Yeah,
work, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
which I had code I had training on, but like all the
yeah.
deep level full stack stuff, that's all like learned trial
Mhm.
and error and learning from people online and hitting up people I know, and you know what I mean? But like I don't know, dude. That's just I don't know. Like I
Yeah,
because you know why? Because I don't care about streaming services. You know what I mean? Like I don't I don't know.
literally,
I
it's
I'm like,
so
dude,
bad.
if I can't, what? Look, I'm from the cable generation, right? You turn your TV on and the picture goes blink, and then there's stuff on it. I don't gotta go click 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 click, right? So I don't know. It's weird,
Yeah.
but I fully accept it and own it, right? Like we
Mhm.
joke about it all the time. But that's a generational. There's like a gap
Yeah.
because that stuff I've never taken the time to really
Mhm.
like. I don't care about it. I've never taken the
Yeah.
time to care about it because I don't care about it, right?
Mhm.
Where for you it wasn't even an option. Whether you care about it or not is irrelevant because you grew up in that generation, so you just know how to do all this stuff because
Yeah,
it's at your
exactly.
fingertips.
Yeah.
All your friends are doing it. Even if you don't participate,
Mhm.
you know how to do it all,
Yeah.
right? When you go online and watch a video, you understand jargon, a little like random jargon from people a little bit differently than I do,
Mhm.
right? So when someone says XYZ, you know that he means this, but I think he means this,
Yeah.
right? Or you think she means that, and I think she means this,
Mhm.
right? Like so there's little minor little things like that that get lost generation to generation to generation,
Yeah.
right? So
100%.
knowing that and understanding that is like everything, bro.
Mhm. I think,
Oh yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually called you bro on a podcast before.
yeah, I don't know.
Everyone gets freaked out.
I know.
Everyone gets freaked out. All
It's
Kyle's
funny.
friends, especially, because
Yeah.
I call him bro. They're like, "That's your dad." He's like, "Yeah,
And I call him bro too, and they're like, "You talk to your dad like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's my bro." I even call
dude, yeah,
mom bro
you're like
sometimes, you
my
know?
right." Like, look, my wife is my best friend. Right, I married my best friend. I'm very fortunate and very lucky. Right, but like, you go from there. Then like, Kyle's legitimately my best friend.
Mhm.
Right, I have a amazing relationship with my daughter. But like when you go to like shoot hoops and have a beer and like guy talk about whatever, right? Like I have a couple of friends, but like outside of the people I'm discussing right now, I have a couple friends, but like Kyle's like my right hand man. You know, we
Mhm.
opened a business together, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like we're business partners. And people like you call your dad bro. He's like, well, yeah, we're like equals. I'm just
Yeah.
23 years younger than him or whatever. Like it's, I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah, no, 100%.
you just gotta keep it breezy and have fun, man.
Exactly.
But I've been calling you bro. We've been doing that since way before you
Way
even
before I was
graduated
even an
high school.
adult.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
way before I even turned 18, we were doing that, and then that
Yeah.
it's been going on since then.
Yeah, high school
I'm
sometime, I think.
22 now, and I can't even remember the first time I called you, bro. That's how long ago it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the next topic that we should talk about, because I think it's very important, especially I would
The
like to
next myth
hear
is another myth.
the next myth. Yeah, the next
Oh,
myth
okay.
topic to talk about would be you need to have everything perfect before launching. I think this was extremely important to get your insight on this because you're a very big perfectionist and everything needs to be perfect. Um, and unfortunately, obviously, everyone wants everything to be perfect when you're launching. Obviously,
That's the goal, obviously. Yeah.
yeah, but it is not a realistic expectation to have. It is never going to happen. And unfortunately, that's the one downside about building a business is that nothing will ever go perfectly for you. You're going to have hiccups, and I know
I've talked about planning for the worst and hoping for the best, right? That whole mentality.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I
I
thought
mean,
so.
this is the 11th podcast now.
Yeah.
There's no way that you
So,
haven't talked about that yet.
all right. But and yeah, no, you're right though.
Mhm.
Um,
It's tough to really swallow that because I mean, when you're building a business, it's like built like it's your baby. You know what I mean? Like you want everything to go perfect 100% of the time, but
yeah.
it's just not gonna. I mean, look at we had big issue this weekend that we literally worked on since third. So the podcast went out, and then we were working on what podcast comes out Thursdays. So that literally that day the podcast went out. We were working on it through Friday, through Saturday, and then we thought we fixed it Sunday, and then Monday we had more issues come up with it, and then Tuesday
New
we
issues.
finally kind of wrapped everything up. You know what I mean? It was a lot, um, and literally it took us so long to really figure it out. And that's just one of those things where it's like you can't expect everything to go perfectly sometimes. That was a little bit of like a big fucking thing, but obviously we weren't launching, but we're launching something. We're launching a sale. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's really tough when that happens. But as long as you don't have the expectation going in, being like, yes, everything is perfect, then I think you'll be put on the right pace to what to expect. You know what I mean?
It's all about prep and planning.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about prep and planning.
Yep.
You know. Um, so you would like me to talk to you about perfectionism
Yeah. Go for it.
in the business place? 100%. You're wrong. Everything should be perfect all the time. It is attainable. We could get there. I promise you. No, it's like yeah, it's you just have to be realistic about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get as close to perfection as you want, right? But where's the realistic line to draw, right? Because you could spend at a certain point, like, or how about this? Where's the point of diminishing return, right? If you're a perfectionist, make it a financial decision, right? How much is my time worth per hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how I this is good right now, and it's not broken. Everything works fine, or whatever, right? And it's not ugly. It just doesn't function exactly the way I want it to, or
Yeah.
it doesn't do exactly the thing I want it to do. It doesn't look exactly the way I want it to look, right? You're building a business for other people.
Yeah.
I built a business, sorry, but like my mentality has always been I've had other businesses in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building a business, right, for me. And I go, I finally hit a point and went, wait, they don't give a shit about these things that I have in the back of my mind that I want because they don't need, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not a real thing yet. So there is no disappointment on their end,
Exactly.
right? I'm like pissed off at like this actually happened. Like I was pissed off myself, frustrated, banging my head against the wall. And it's just like, I hate my life.
Mm-hmm.
My site sucks, da 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 da, right? And then one of my friends called me. He's like, "Bro, your site is amazing." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I swear to God." He's like, "That going on and on." And I was like, "Bro, but I got to do this still and that still and this still." He goes, "Who cares about that shit? This is
No.
perfect."
No.
You know what I
Literally.
mean? And I was like, "Oh my goodness, man! I'm not building it for me. I'm building it for them." I'm building it for them so we can put money in our pocket, so we can grow and put money into the business and more money into the business and market and do this so we can turn this into a big thing. Right. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, that was an eye-opening experience for me. So look at perfectionism on the same way, in the same way, right? I'm a perfectionist. I have a lot of, and I've learned to put lines in places. It's but I promise you, when I started looking at everything about the business as a financial transaction, especially when I'm involved, right? You've seen this firsthand. Especially when I'm involved, you got to look at P&L. You got to look at where's the point of diminishing return,
Yeah.
right? You got to make sure you're not wasting your time, because every second counts
Mm-hmm.
in your
Absolutely.
business. If you're hanging out watching TV in your personal time, in your in the life side of your work life balance,
Mhm.
right? Do whatever you want. Go down any rabbit hole you want. Go on Instagram for 3 hours. Who
Yeah.
cares? You know what I mean? Go watch
Exactly.
goofy videos. Go watch dumb movies from 30 years ago. Like, who cares,
Yeah.
right? Like, I used to go watch old B-rated old shark movies with Mackenzie, like Two-Headed Shark and like all this
Yeah.
cool stuff, right? Like, that was the thing I did with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's but that was in my life part of my work life balance,
Yeah.
right? In work, every second counts,
Mm-hmm.
right? And by the way, it does in your personal life too. Every second counts. Like, don't be wasting time. Spend it with the people that matter to you the most,
Yep.
right?
100%.
Make sure you're sharing the love with them that they share with you every day, for backing you up and supporting you. Even if it doesn't feel like they are, they are. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
business owner, they are backing you 100 ways to Sunday, even when it doesn't feel like it, right? So you need to show that love and give that love back 100 times harder than they gave it to you,
100%.
right? All right. Anyways, um,
Yeah. Well, I agree with you 100%. It's there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist. I think having the perfectionist label it has a negative stereotype to it. Um, and
well,
I don't think
if
that's fair. I think that
no,
there's nothing wrong
how
with it
about
at all.
this? If you don't plan for perfectionism, you never know where you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, if you just build the thing, you're like, you're all willy nilly, you don't know. If I'm like, okay, perfection is this. I say this all the time, right? In an ideal world, it looks like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we say, okay, and then we start working towards that.
Yeah.
And then once we get around this mark right here, right? We're like, okay, everything is good. Dude, this is tight. Everything's awesome. It's working really good. But that extra little bit, this much, right? How long is it going to take us to get there?
Yeah.
And is it worth the time to go from here to here for all that money it's going to cost us? Because every hour I spend working on a thing is money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every hour Kyle spends working on a thing is money.
Yep.
If you look at it like that, you will tamp down your perfectionism level
Mm-hmm.
of acceptance, right? Because this is the goal. This is not a must. The top end, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, now where in here is the acceptable level, right? And then based on availability of time and energy and resources, including money, right?
Yeah.
And then you make a decision from there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You'll find yourself real fucking quick making better decisions about
Yeah.
perfectionism, right? I'm not going to try to tell people not to go for that, because I do it every day. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everyone should be striving for perfectionism,
Yeah.
right? You set this goal, this is it. And then you get as close as you can and say, okay, now, but you have to be aware of time and energy put into said thing and track it, so that you say, okay, now we got this much time in, right? And small businesses don't do this well. They don't. This is the thing that small businesses need to do, like big businesses do, right? Um, they need to plan the thing appropriately. Take the time and plan it,
Yeah.
right? Just, you shouldn't open a business without a business plan. Same thing, but like, you plan it. You say, okay, this is a project. It should take us 8 hours. At 2 hours, we should be here. At 4 hours, we should be here, and set benchmarks. And if you're not at your first benchmark, you take a step back and replan, reorganize, figure out why, and then go from there,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it'll help keep things under control. And then when you get to that point, you're like, I need to go, I want perfection though. You say, okay, but I have 8 hours in, right? And I got a lot of other things. I have other projects that need to get done. This has
Yeah.
been 8 hours worth of, or 80 hours, or 180 hours, or whatever is in already. How
Hmm.
many more hours am I willing to pay for out of my pocket to get it closer to perfection? Where's that line? And then it's a lot easier to make that decision,
Yeah.
right? I didn't
100%.
mean to go down that long tangent, but I think that's a really important thought process
Hmm.
for people who are have a perfectionist mentality. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like a lot of business owners, that's their mentality, because all my friends, everyone I know that owns a business, they all want perfection, and they all know but they also know it's not realistic,
Yeah.
right? But the difference is understanding it's not realistic doesn't mean don't shoot for it.
Hmm.
That's where people fail. That's where the
Yeah.
disconnect is. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
100%.
So,
I think we have enough time for one more topic.
okay.
And I know this is one that when we were talking beforehand, we already decided that we're split. We have a bunch of myths that we have, and we're probably going to split this into another podcast later down the line. So I think this one, I know that you were really excited about because you mentioned it when you were looking through them, and you're like, yeah, this one I definitely want to talk about, this podcast. And it was, you have to lower prices to compete. Um,
Oh my, okay, yeah, stop right there.
yeah.
Never listen, people, my friends. Sales are good. Sales are important, right? Running
Mhm.
sales events. Stop running them every 5 minutes, right? Um, you devalue your product and your service, right? Stop making excuses for your prices and stop trying to sell your product or your service on price alone, right? You will never win that fight.
Yeah.
All you're going to do is devalue your service and your like by dropping your price. Say you offer a lawn cutting service, say it's $50 a week for a place, a certain size, right? And they're like, okay, yeah, that seems like a lot of money. Let me think about it. Right? Let's play that game, Kyle. You want me to cut your grass?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Kyle, your yard, I'll do the front and back. To do the front and back and take care of everything is $50 a week.
Ooh, that's
And
a
we'll come
little.
once a week, right?
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
big yard,
Mhm.
right? You have a big yard, it's this many square feet, blah blah blah, and this is how much we charge, it's $50. Right? Would
Mhm.
you like me to
Yeah.
come in? You want me to set that up for you?
Yeah, man. Yeah. 100%. That sounds great.
No, dude, you're supposed to say no.
I know. I was messing. No. No. Oh no. That's what I was shaking my head no the whole time. I was just messing with you. Yeah.
I know.
No. That's a little out of my price range. I don't know if I could do that.
Okay. It well, just so then you take that and then you have another conversation from there, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not going to do pitch practice online on this, right? But then you spin it from there. So, yeah, and Kyle, by the way, does not talk to people. He's not a salesperson, so
No,
he's
I'm not.
never done any. He's not prepped for this. So
No.
I'm sorry, which is why I stopped what I was doing. I just realized that I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. So, but then you stop and you say, okay, it you can probe further and ask more questions and
Mhm.
find out if that's really the problem. And if price is the issue, then I would talk to you about doing something every Kyle, oh, I understand. It so we have a lot of other services that we do, right? If we can do say hypothetically, you don't really I'm like, Kyle, well, just so you know, I understand that. And included in our packages that in the package that like included in everything we do, our whole package or however you want to phrase it, right? It's $50 and we take care of your front yard and your backyard. After we mow, we'll run around quick with it. We have an electric weed whacker, or we have a weed whacker. We'll run around and we weed whack the yard. We usually do that every 2 weeks because it doesn't need it every week. But if it needs it every week, we do it. When we're done with that, um, we also we you only I notice you have a couple hedges out front. You don't have a lot, so we'll trim those that keep those cleaned up for you as well. It's just something that we do. Your yard looks nice. We want your front yard, your whole front to look nice. It'll take us 3 minutes. It's not a big deal, right? And when we're done with everything, then we go through and we blow everything out. We make sure that none of the grass gets blown on your patio areas or by your fire pit in your driveway. We make sure everything is clean and out and everything looks really nice and it looks perfect for you. So when you come home, your grass and everything looks perfect, but you have no idea that it was mowed that day because you can't see any whatever the phrase you want to use, right?
Yeah.
Any semblance of it just got mowed, right?
Hmm.
If you want, and I understand, and but and then I would just talk to you about, and I would just stop, and be like, stop and breathe and let you talk next, right?
Yeah.
And you say, well, it's this or that, cool. And then, but it's never. Did you hear me making excuses for my price?
Nope.
What did I say? I said, yeah, okay, cool. And we do this and we do this and we do this and we do this, right? I'm not, but but like you could do the same thing and say, yeah, no problem. $50 too much. I completely understand, Kyle. But we also do this, and but don't forget we do this, and this is also included, right? I'm trying to justify the price to you,
Yeah.
like, and that may be something that could help you, but more than likely it's not,
Hmm.
right? So the first scenario, then I say, hey, why don't we do this? We could set you up on every other week, right? And we'll come every 2 weeks and see how that goes, right?
Hmm.
And then he's like, well, you're like, Kyle, you're like, well, okay, da 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 da. I don't know, man. My wife, this and that. Like, how about this? Your yard and everything needs to get done, right? Yeah, no, it really does. Let me do this. Let me send one of my guys over tomorrow. Cause say it's like 3 o'clock. I'll send one of my guys over tomorrow. I'll have them do the front and the back, and I'll have them do everything the way we normally do it. And then when you and the missus come home, you guys can check everything out, talk about it, and see if you're interested in going further. And we could do once a week, we could do every other week, and we come up with some solution that makes sense for you guys.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there, right? And wow, really? Yeah, cool, for sure. I'd rather do your yard one time for free than do it for the rest of my fucking life for $15 less.
Hmm.
Because I'm not gonna make any money at $15 less.
Exactly.
But doing that makes his life easier, makes his decision easier, and it gets him emotionally involved because you're talking about his wife and getting his wife involved and doing it for her because you understand because you're married too. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. Or that
Yeah.
I'm a married man, so in this scenario, it's easy for me to do that, right? I always get scared of PC, man. I'm scared people are gonna come at me because I don't speak correctly, and I don't ever want to do that. So,
Yeah.
anyways, um, but I refuse to let Kyle chop stuff out of the videos because I don't want it to be unrealistic. So that's where
100%.
the terror comes from.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and on top of that too, like, when you say but, yeah, also on top of that, it's also just more defensive. Like if you're having a
Very
conversation with someone,
defensive. That's a
and as
really
soon
good
as
point.
yeah, as
Yeah.
soon as someone says but, like that's an instant like red flag to your brain that they're being defensive. And so like whenever you're talking to people, you don't want to come off as defensive. I'm not the one on the phone making calls talking to people all the time, but this is just for personal life stuff too. Like
Yeah.
I never say well but, because like that media is like, oh, defensive, red flag
Right.
there, and then
And
people
the
get
thing that's
defensive
like,
back, and then that's how
yeah.
stuff breaks down from there. And
Yep.
your goal is to get people to want your service or what you're selling them. So like when you get what if you get defensive, even if you're not getting defensive but you're giving off defensive signs, um then they're going to get defensive back, and then nothing is going to come from it at all.
How about this? I have an easy way to help people stop doing this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. We've all I if you have kids, you all understand this. And even if you're old like me or older than me and you didn't have kids, you should still remember. And plus it's just out there in society, right? Um when my kids were young and when I was young and my brothers and everybody, right? They say Kyle says, "Hey dad, I really want this thing. I want to go to this place." I'm like, "Hey bud, we can't do that right now." But I really want to. Kyle, we can't go there right now. We're doing this and this. We have all this stuff going on. But dad, I really want to go there, but it's so cool. It's so much fun. Da da da. Like whenever you say but, like picture the most annoying version of that of yourself when you were a kid doing that to your parents or your kids doing it to you. And whenever you say the word fucking but, play that reel in your head because that's what you sound like to your customers. You sound like a whiny little brat. You know what I mean? It's I was a whiny little brat. You were a whiny little brat. Everybody was at some point in
Every
their
kid's
life.
a whining little brat. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's just how it
they
is,
they they
man.
have it's well, it's not like they're like, we have everyone. I'm an adult. I'm a whiny little brat sometimes. So are you, right?
Hmm.
Like we all have moments,
Yeah,
right?
and yeah,
Everyone's
exactly.
allowed a moment,
Yeah.
right? But still, it's the behavior is what it is what it is,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and what you
So
do in your personal life doesn't really matter. We're here to talk to you about business. And if you
yeah,
go on the phone and you talk to someone like that, it is not going to end the way you want it to. Like not hundred
not
percent of the time, 99% of the time, it will not end the way that you want it to. If you sound like that on the phone, you just keep saying but. But yeah, going back to lowering prices, you don't need to do that for anybody for any reason. Your prices
no.
are set
That's
the way they are for you and
right.
who you're selling it to. It
Change,
doesn't matter.
yeah, changing your prices, lowering your prices. Like here's the deal: if you have a physical store and you get one person a day that walks in your store, and you're open say you're open like 12 hours, and you get one person a day walk in your store, and you're like, wow, I sell all these cool things for $20, and I get one person a day, and sometimes I get a sale, sometimes I don't, right? Or let's say you go a period you don't have anybody come in, right? Or you had, and then you start and you're not getting, but no matter what, you're not getting sales. You get like 5 customers a week, and you get hardly any sales. You're basically not getting sales, right?
Mhm.
So then you lower your prices down. Is that gonna, like, you drop your prices by like even 25%? What's that gonna do? Is that a sexier price? Yeah, I would want to buy it for sure, right? I don't know to buy it though.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
what
don't
does
know
that
you
do?
have the thing. I don't know you sell the thing. Like even I don't know if like the thing could be worth 150, $100, right? And you sell it for 90. I would buy it for 90. I might buy it for 100, right?
Hmm.
If you're close, I might buy it for 110,
Yeah.
right? Because you're a local small business. And I do that, by the way, and
Hmm.
everyone needs to. But right? But like I do that. I don't care. I'll spend a little more money to go to a local business,
Yeah.
right? But if I don't know the local business is there,
How
or
are
I
you
don't know
going to
the
tell you that? Yeah,
locals, or
exactly.
that, and I don't know they offer said things at their business, right? How am I supposed to spend my money with them?
Hmm.
Dropping the price is only going to make it when the occasional person does buy, it just hurts even more. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's all it
so like
does. I
now
mean,
it hurts when I don't get sales, and now when I do get a sale, it hurts. What the
hmm
hell am I doing? Right?
yeah.
Then you start rethinking life. That's why that's, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like it's not a good
Yeah, I
place to
think
be.
I think a good train of thought to have on lowering prices are lowering prices, like permanently lowering prices, or having sales are not marketing. They are not marketing.
No.
It's the complete opposite of marketing. Marketing is when everything is set perfectly the way it is, nothing changes. I mean, running sales events one thing. Every once in a while, that's a totally different conversation. But if you're consistently running them to get more people to come to your site, then you're devaluing your product. That's not marketing, because then no one's gonna buy from you unless you have a sale going on.
Yeah.
It's like what who does that? Is it Shein, where like they
Mm.
have no shipping on Sundays, and like that's cool, but no one else buys anything from them any other day of the week
All
except
week
for
long, they
Sunday.
don't sell a single thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they
and
lose sales because of that,
mm-hmm,
right? Because the people forget to go on Sunday and buy, and then they forget the following Sunday to go and
exactly,
buy, right? When all you got
exactly.
to do is offer shipping all the time, free
Yeah,
shipping.
and the problem
It's
solved.
the same amount of product, same amount of stuff going out the door, but instead you're like destroying your employees by slamming them on Monday morning with like a bazillion orders that they
Yeah,
have to crank through and get done and shipped
exactly.
out and do this and that. Why not just let it go over the week?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a good thing. It was a good, it's a good thing to build a good framework to build a business like that on. And you say, you know what, guys, we love you guys so much. Free shipping all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Why do it one day a week? That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway, well,
it's their
uh,
business. Anyways, just side note, that's their business model. Works for them. Um,
yeah.
I would love to understand more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Anytime I learn about a business model that I'm like, wow, that doesn't make sense. I want to know as much as I can about it
Yeah,
because
100%.
I want every business model that supports, like they've been in business for a long time. Their model works. I
Mm-hmm.
think, like, who knows? Maybe it has something to do with where they're located, where their stuff comes from, how their workforce is laid out. There's a lot of things that could come into play. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. 100%. Well, thank you guys for watching this podcast. We're gonna get ready and wrap it up. Make sure to go follow our socials. Small Business Revolution underscore on Instagram. Small Business Revolution. Did I forget the word business when I said it? I feel like I did. Small Business Revolution.
Don't, you better not edit this either.
Did
I'm
I miss the
checking.
word? Did I miss the word business? I could have swore I did. But anyway, Small Business Revolution with an underscore on Instagram. Make sure to check us out. We have an Instagram, a TikTok, a Facebook. We have what else? Is there another social media?
We have a
Threads.
Josh.
We have a Threads. I feel like there's another one that I'm missing somewhere in there. But make sure to check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Have an amazing day.